This episode is sponsored by KiwiCo. I'll plug them when it's funnier. If you got a problem, you can probably solve it with a 3D printer, like being too broke to buy gifts because you spent all your money on a 3D printer. Obviously, you have to print your way out of it. From a maze that starts fights to a physics-based Jenga Tetris hybrid to a pack of, well, I don't want to spoil it, but there's no way you're going to believe this is printable. Today, 10 or so genuinely exceptional games you can print and start playing right now, right here at Voidstar Lab. Ladies, gentlemen, and cyborgs, my name is Zack Freedman, and I like my gaming like I like my women, 4 in a row, themed after naval warfare and or reeking of peppermint. Our first models cram a pair of iconic board games into an old school form factor so cliche, it literally defined the shape of hobby electronics. This is Altoids Connect 4 and Altoids Pocket Battleship, both by EG 3D Printing. The humble Altoids tin, you know, the steel clamshell with the free breath mints inside. It was such a ubiquitous project component, the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino were both specifically sized to fit inside them. EG3D did the time warp again and stuffed these blasts from the past with mini-game versions of some toy store classics. First, Altoids Connect 4. The gravity-driven Bejeweled clone is unexpectedly well suited for its mentholated portable new home. The case provides storage and structure, and since the frame intrinsically keeps the game pieces put, you're not going to lose your chips if the game board gets jostled, something really important for a portable game. When you finally pull a diagonal on that chump, just pull up the frame to dump the pieces directly into the built-in storage, and you are ready to enter round 2 or the pocket of your cargo shorts. Next, Altoids Battleship. This turn-based guessing game was inspired by Rihanna's cinematic debut and translates really well to a refreshingly scented form. Since the game is already played with pegs on a folding board, it's already pretty much designed for gaming on the run out of a candy box. My only gripe is also kind of the best thing about this model. EG3D reduced the size of the board, but not its 10x10 grid. So you get the exact same gameplay as the full-size version, but each of the disembiggened pieces is a titanic pain to print, because they're gonna sink. How much better would the James Cameron movie have been if Leonardo DiCaprio was like crushed by a falling iceberg? These teeny-weeny bits and bobs might be a challenge to print, but if your printing skills are strong, curiously so, you'll be rewarded with a pair of authentically adorable and adorably authentic self-contained board games perfect for road trips, bar bets, and starting conversations with random strangers like a psychopath. As for the mints, I'll use them to freshen up so I can sweet talk today's sponsor. This episode is sponsored by KiwiCo, the all-American woman-run creators of build-it-yourself science, art, and engineering toys that kids love so much, those chumps won't even realize they're actually learning. Each month, KiwiCo sends out exciting new surprise crates that'll get them wiring circuits, constructing mechanisms, and generally getting hooked on the sheer joy of building something yourself. Each of KiwiCo's 5 clubs gets a different project each month, carefully crafted for different ages and interests. So a subscription is more than just a thoughtful gift. It's something they'll look forward to getting again and again month after month. I got the KiwiCo Labs Maze Arcade, a new spin on the classic Labyrinth featuring a motorized turntable and customizable modular tiles that is coincidentally apropos for this episode. It's made of big chunky components, crisp laser cut wood, and toolless plug-in socket wiring that make it so approachable a 9-year-old could build it, but so addictive a 36-year-old can't stop playing with it. KiwiCo's kits are meant to be modded. They're packed with bonus parts, alternative ways to play, and plenty of open space ready to fill with custom creations, so they'll learn more than just how to follow instructions. Unlike the 3D printed jank in this episode, KiwiCo crates are all professional quality, and each gets over 1,000 hours of development to make each build easy to follow, provably educational, and most importantly, extremely fun. If KiwiCo existed when I was a kid, I would have been obsessed, and I definitely would have gotten to building stuff a lot earlier. Give the little geek in your life the gift of creative exploration by visiting kiwico.com/Zack and using discount code Zack. You'll save a full 50% off the first crate. Order now, or don't procrastinate, forget, and be forced to 3D print a 2-bit alternative at the last minute. This is the Party Maze Challenge by MEAF Designs, and let me tell you, as much as I just trashed it, if you're only going to print one thing from this episode, make it this one. The difference is, this one is suspended by 4 strings, one on each corner. You and your pals take the reins and use the power of friendship to try and get the ball off the board. This is significantly harder than it sounds. Each string's effect depends on the 3 other strings, and since the dangling maze acts like one giant pendulum, a single twitchy pull is going to send everyone's careful set setup right out the window. That's tactical defenestration. If you're a bunch of goofy goobers and you're over the appropriate age, steal your liver for the greatest drinking game ever made. 4 players each hold a string in one hand and a beer in the other, and if the ball hits a dead end or if the mace touches a base plate, everyone drinks. Competitive or casual, people are gonna die. If you're looking for an equally silly physics-based game that's less likely to diminish your life expectancy, allow me to broaden your horizons, vertically. Allow me to heighten your horizons with Large Balance Puzzle Tetris by Nikolai Hinov. I don't think I need to explain the rules because this wobbling stack of colorful blocks tells the whole story. But I'll do it anyways because some of you people don't watch my videos, you just listen in the background. Am I ever glad I spend entire weeks staying up till 5 o'clock in the morning shooting B-roll and then cutting it? This game takes place not on a cathode ray tube, but on a narrow teetering tray, and random tiles don't fall down from on high like the video game. You pick them, you place them, and then you're going to chase them under the couch when your butterfingers poke this increasingly top-heavy tower into catastrophe. Balance Puzzle Tetris actually plays a lot more like Jenga, but unlike Jenga, it actually has strategy. You can try to stack up a skyscraper to destabilize the board, you can prolong the game and hope the opponent slips up, you can use all of the safer pieces first to make the endgame trickier. As for the printing, as long as your elephant's foot and pressure advance are dialed in enough to get straight, flat walls, this is probably the easiest thing to print I have ever featured on this channel. If you want to test your noggin more than your fingers, but still want to incite the occasional blood feud, it's hip to be square. This is the Blokus XL AMS remix by GoldenEyes 11, a remix of a full-on ripoff of an off-the-shelf product, all of which is completely legal, but using the trademark name is not, so they should really change it. Either way, this is a free-to-print version of what is almost certainly the second best game to play with non-gamers. Number 1 is Mario Kart 64, don't even try to argue, can't beat the GOAT. Blokus is a game for 4 players. That has to be 4, can't be less. And you take turns placing tiles on a board. Your first tile has to go in a corner slot, and each following play must share a corner, but not an edge, with one of your existing tiles. Each player starts with 21 shapes of 1 to 5 squares, and when nobody can make a move, each player counts the squares on their unplayed tiles, and the lowest score wins. There are extra rules, but nobody cares about them. Each player's territory immediately sprawls across the board into an explosion of tactical complexity. Within a couple turns, each possible play directly screws over all 3 opponents and probably yourself too. Not even the bulgiest, veiniest gigabrain could possibly predict what the board's going to look like before your next turn. This game happens to be intrinsically well suited for printing, and the bootleg version is so close to the original they're basically the same. GoldenEyes 11 even added this nice retaining ring to hold the board together and a rather large box to store it all in. Be aware, this is only available as a multi-plate Bamboo 3MF file, so if you want to print it on other machines, you'll have to open the file in Bamboo Studio and export the STLs yourself. Our next model is also in this category, but I don't think anyone except its creator even imagined it could be 3D printed. It's not 3D. We are going to turn some plastic filament into a deck of playing cards. These are the waterproof beach-themed playing cards by DJ Sente, and they inspired the whole episode. You could print a pack of playing cards! I've been waiting to feature this bafflingly creative printable since I did that episode on my maker chip, and the creator of this model hit me up to commiserate. See, Prusa Slicer and derivatives like Bamboo Studio have this odd set of corner cases that you can exploit to hack together multicolored objects without ever opening a CAD program. I used this technique to make my business card, and DJ Sente used it to make a playing card. 54 times! That's right, this is a full pack of 52 cards plus 2 jokers, and it even includes a carrying case and a chill-ass day at the beach vibe. Not really the most seasonally appropriate theme for an episode that is supposed to be Christmassy, but you know what? I'm Jewish. Santa can jingle my balls. Jingle bells? Is that what they do? These aren't waterproof because they're designed for beachside card sharking. They're waterproof because they're fucking plastic. Every card is a mere 3 layers thick, and those 3 layers were all individually handmade right in Bamboo Slicer. It's gonna be a bit tedious to print them too. Only 6 cards fit on the bed, and each takes 10 minutes to print, so get ready for some babysitting. They also don't really feel like conventional cards. At 0.5 millimeter thick, they're about twice as thick as laminated cardboard. But that said, like, even printed in regular old PLA, hell, even printed in this wood composite PLA, they're surprisingly tough and easy to to handle, and they'll even survive being riffle shuffled, while doing that annoying flicking thing that you do to your hand when it's someone else's turn. There's a Magic card making fun of that. I used fiber and wood-filled PLA to really sell the beach theme, but in retrospect, I should have used something more opaque because I can kind of see what is going on the back side of the card. Do what I say, not what I do, and what I say is do some test prints first. This one is also in Bamboo Labs' proprietary format, but unfortunately this one cannot be ported to other programs. The models are constructed in the slicer itself and can't be exported as STLs. If you're dead serious about avoiding anything touched by this company, you're going to need to fold. So all the models I've featured so far are similar to or straight rip-offs of things you could buy at a friendly local game store. Not the last two. The previous ones could be printed. These ones can only be printed. I can't make a video about printable board games without featuring my own. This is Hextraction, my Freeze and Freedom hackable board game that's half Magic the Gathering, half Marble Maze, and half Calvin Ball. They're hexagons. They actually have 12 halves. Players take turns dropping tiles and rolling balls, and the first to reach an end zone wins. The tiles can have moving mechanisms, special rules, really anything you can think up, and I'm being sincere, anyone can design a new tile, even you. There are now hundreds, maybe thousands to choose from, but I've selected two sets of tiles that crank up the game's sophistication without making the rules any more complex. My original flip-flop tile accepts a ball from the top and alternates between sending it left and right. It's a critical part of long-term strategies, but because it can only be played in one orientation, it's not very versatile. Well, No Step on Snack revamped my bare-bones starting point into 4, technically 7, of the most tactically gnarly tiles I have ever seen. We'll start with the alternator tile, which takes the basic flip-flop and tacks on a diagonal channel and a trapdoor. So not only does it basically behave like the original tile, balls can now enter and exit all 6 sides, and all 6 sides change what they do with each rotation. The 180 tile looks similar but turns even further, so one input rolls through, another flips the action, and the third falls through the board. The difference is the center input always leaves the center output, so this one adds some stability and some variance. Next up is the side flop tile. It looks intricate, but it's actually quite simple. Or way more intricate. See, there's a basic and advanced version, and you can swap their parts for 3 fun variants and 1 that sucks. Put the basic flipper on the basic base for the basic side flop. It works exactly like the regular flip-flop, but the input is on the side. The advanced flipper plus the advanced base equals the advanced version, which opens all 3 inputs for a way more versatile and way more tricky game. Blah, 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 blah. Put the basic flipper on the advanced base and you get the mixed version. This one gates off the center input, trapping any ball that hits it. So the next time the mechanism flips, that trapped ball gets reintroduced and you get some hot multi-ball action. It's a sneaky one. You can also put the advanced flipper on the basic base to create the lame version. It looks like it could take a ball from the top, but it doesn't. Finally, we got the T-switch tile, an unholy chimera that acts like a peace tile and a DC tile and a J tile attached to a flip-flop tile that's also the turnstile tile. I'd also like to highlight one more set of tiles that aren't only the most beautifully thematic pieces I've seen. They add a whole new dimension to gameplay, with no moving parts, no effects cards, no gimmickry at all. These are the Aqueduct tiles by BitTorrent and AbbleBabble. BitTorrent designed the originals, while AbbleBabble made them tougher and more printable. Those are the ones I'm going to feature today. Like the basic tiles, the Aqueduct tiles are nothing but tracks for balls to roll through. Unlike the basic tiles, these tracks go over and under each other. This creates a network of elevated aqueducts, forming a sort of parallel game board that lets you pull all kinds of multi-dimensional physics-based shenanigans. These tiles are at their strongest when you can predict how the ball's going to gain and lose speed. They're a great way to raise Hextraction's skill ceiling for a more experienced playgroup. The best and worst part of the Aqueduct tiles is the more of them are in the pool, the better they get. Ideally, you would swap all of the basics and a lot of the effect tiles with these things and sprinkle in a heaping helping of BitTorrent's charming Roman spa tiles. These are like star tiles with a slot on top that look like completely hetero-communal baths. They can jack up standard tiles so they work with the Aqueduct, or jack up aqueducts even higher. These take tiles that normally drop the ball through the board, such as the flipper tiles I just featured, and keeps the ball in play. This stack up is tactically corn cobs. Honestly, there are enough awesome new tiles to fill a whole episode with Hextraction alone. Do you still play Hextraction? Are you interested in it? Shall I make another episode? Let me know down below. Increase engagement. Engage me engaging you. We have reached the end, and if you've watched my videos before, this may come as a bit of a surprise. I always spoil the grand finale somewhere along the way, but this time I decided to pile up the sandbags and slow roll the magic, because the sheer volume of care and cleverness that went into designing, modeling, and even printing this thing deserves nothing less. Number 1, the piece de resistance, the game that reigns supreme, is Settlers of Catan Globe Edition. I didn't write down who made this. Settlers of Catan Globe Edition by Rossero. Suck it, flat earth morons. Your made-up fantasy science shrivels before my vast tracts of spherical land. Behold the legendary Teutonic resource management simulator stretched, squashed, and topologically kerfuffled into a stunning sphere. Alright, it's not technically a sphere, it's a truncated icosahedron, but you know what they say. Shut the fuck up. Catan's journey to the third dimension was a bit of a rough ride. The original game was played on a hex grid, because board game nerds love hex grids. But you can't make a three-dimensional polyhedron purely out of six-sided shapes. It has something to do with math. So 40% of the board, for lack of suitably bulbous nomenclature, is now composed of pentagons, and this requires a couple minor rules changes to keep things fair. Trading also takes place at inland islands instead of coastal ports. The supply-side wizardry that enables a pair of tiny isolated landmasses to crank out enough bricks and sheep to pave and feed a large portion of a planet is left to the imagination. But let's address the question you have probably been itching to ask. How, the why, the what? The why is simple, because they could. The how depends on which what, because there are actually two versions of this thing, a high effort and a low effort one. This is the latter, composed of Make Anything's poly panels, which have been modified to hold the numbers, settlements, resource indicators, and roads. This thing is 100% filament. Each tile is ringed by interlocking hinges, so the whole world snap fits together. And this is the low effort version. Normally, I always find the path of most resistance and strut right down it like Vince McMahon in that gif. But with this model, holy fucking shit, dude. The real version is curvier, it's sexier, and it's much easier to play because everything is held together by magnets. Everything. This model calls for 380 magnets, each glued in a specific orientation and at great difficulty because these parts are curved and they don't want to lie flat on the table. To make sure this video actually came out, I decided to cut my losses. If it's any consolation, the low effort version was still a giant pain in my ass. It doesn't beg the question, but it does raise it. How does Settlers play on a sphere? I have no idea. You still need the cards and stuff from an actual copy of Settlers, and I don't have one because I f***ing hate Settlers. There's only one board game I dislike more than Settlers, and let's just say it involves vouchers for locomotion. But even if the nerd cops are on their way to confiscate my nerd card, I think Spherical Catan looks incredibly cool, and it's a phenomenal outlet to flex your fanciest filaments. These brick tiles actually have brick in them. The grain tiles are flax, the ore tiles are iron, the lumber tiles are wood, and the sheep tiles are 20% dehydrated ground up sheep. I'm just kidding, they're regular PLA. But there was a wool filament, I would buy that thing so bad! And that is 10 truly awesome games that you can start to print and play right this very second. It might be less than 10, I should really start counting them. Everything on this list is free, and all the links you're gonna need, it is all down below, ready for your clicking. I'd like to end by wishing my patrons very happy holidays. All of them, at the same time. My top-notch collaborators include Diogenes of Yerba Buena Brooklyn Cannabis Dispensary, ZomboDB, GridFi.cc, Scott Rainey, the Benevolent Misanthrope, Chuck Me Harder Baby, Bitrot, The Suits Ruined Our Fun, SXP, Schleppy the Schwagster, Turner Zay, and Microwave. I've hidden their names somewhere in this episode, made them permanent parts of the print farm, and wrote their names on a slip of paper that I slip under my pillow to chase away the nightmares. Our lab assistants and supporters include abbreviated for time and/or comedic effect, Michael Creamer Jr., The Krollster, Crash Doom, Granville Schmidt, Joseph Ribka, Acorn, SKL, Bull and Bean, Slippy McToof, Oliver Robbins, Eddie, Tactical Possum, Elite Giant, Ergay, Aaron Steers, Acalia, Travis Hippa, Kevin DeGraff, Doom Crew Inc., The Cuttlefish, Martin Titanium, Cody, Alex Perrone, Paul Gibbs, Trans Rights, which are human rights, Igor Box, Mike Kelly, Earth is 3D Printed, Bill Schooler, Zap, Blammo, Moonkin, Unimoji Corn, Land Jesus, Lydia K, Cameron McPherson, Robo Kemow, Rusty Flute, Anti-Tux 3, Non-Raccoons, Brynwolf Schulte, Burnduck 3, Good Suck, Zach Harvey, Powerful CCH, Scroto Saggins, Gotham, Agent Maxwell, Kink Shaming Walrus, Bob Dubbington, Talon, Cameron Ogletree, Sorceress Emily, Chris Floofy Kitsune, Belt Printer with Plates, Robert the Bob, Max Luck just woke up for a 3-month coma. Max got hit by a bus and lived. Holy shit, dude. Hope you're alright. I don't know why you'd wake up specifically to go into a coma, but like, you do you, dog. Haunted Leaky Water Heater, The Monk, Trump, Socks Magox, The Orbital Mechanic, Sticks, Right to Repair, Clayton Easley, DBD, The Snow Cow Cabal, Moo, Burr, Sanforian, Amirahum, Chorns, Cullen.zip on Blue Sky, Call Sang Carrot, Timor, Noah B. Johnson, A 3D Workshop, Amanishi, Onyx Plague, Storm B Design, TR Fullheart, Gunner, Quality Doggo, T Kites, HRH, Nat of the Lemon, Haley Kerman, Roger Pinkham, Thunder Chicken, Pucker Up Brown Eyes, VK2KTJ, Dr. Mrs. the Meerman, Spire, Nova Ren, Evan, Kelly, Vi, Watch, Finger, Shane Frederick, No Disassemble, Dennis Kempen, Sunburnt Cat, Wuhan Express, Brad Cox, Big Bird Tommy, Danny Devoid of Life, Zack, is that how you pronounce that? Period Clots, Renaud Bataille, 6A6F, Rihanna 99 and Urch, Buck Turgidson, Matthew Runhart, Kevin Sumner, Incognito, John Loves Jen, Lost Dryer Socks, PRD, Reagan, Nuclear 314, Comrade Spamuel, Protagonist, Travis Pocky, Jack Moran, James, the Q101, Dale Bibby, Circle Zero, Robert Breeze, Michael, Skittle Shoot, Kathy Brent Irvine, Quantumly Tangled, Cliff Henning, Horseshoe Theory of Ballistics, but with the word that'll get me demonetized, Des Baldonado, Chardalos, Nathan, Craft Computing, Kermit the OG Frog, and Iron Rain. Sorry for going a whole month without dropping a video. I kind of got carried away designing a Nerf blaster. If it's any consolation, it's a really cool blaster. Thanks for watching, and I'll be sliding down your chimney in the future. Not to give you any gifts, though. It's just for fun.